Greetings, YouTube. Today we're taking a look at the push and flip folding utility knife from DeWalt. And it was nice enough they actually gave us a little utility blade, a little plastic container in the back. Uh, and we have the knife in question. And make sure I get the DeWalt symbol in the right direction. DeWalt symbol. What attracted to me to this particular knife was it was fairly thin. It wasn't too wide. It was very straight profile. I really liked the fact that it had a very linear vibe going on there. It is button lock complete. That's the only mechanism for unlocking it or for closing it, which that gives it a nice clean linear look. You don't have to worry about thumb subs and crap like that. You don't have to worry about liner locks. As someone who has arthritis, I have found that button locks have become the most useful tool in my knife and utility knife world. I also have a nice Husky that does a squeeze, which I also like because I don't have to use my thumb. Um, but this is a little bit more robust than that than the Husky I mentioned because this is an aluminum body. It's got a plastic insert, and the portion that actually holds the blade is steel. So it's got a bit more durability built right into it. The pocket clip is really deep pocket. It is very quiet. Get my skin in there. There you go. It is nice and deep pocket in there. This thing just disappears when you have it in your pocket. Reversible, though it comes configured with the tip up, which is the direction that all knives should be in because that is correct. There is a lanyard hold here, which I thought was a little strange. I don't. I can maybe see that you needed a lanyard hold if you have you have gloves on. Maybe you want to have a little uh, uh, bit of paracord on there or a bead or something help you draw it. Um, I was able to draw this with both my bare hands and with two different kinds of gloves. I tried two different varieties at work, and I found that the easiest method was for me to reach in and kind of do this and just kind of put my thumb right into that little slot and then pull forward. Admittedly, not ideal. Again, I do have arthritis, but it did work. Um, I found that actually, if I tried using the meat of my thumb, I actually had to pull harder. So that was actually it was a little easier on my hand. I couldn't do it as comfortably straight out like that. So maybe having a lanyard on there would make sense. But I personally, if I were going to do that, I would probably just put something right through that loop and sacrifice the fact it would be, a millimeter further out of my pocket when I was headed in there. So again, just and we have the blade in its configuration. One of the things that I really like about this is that's a full four-finger grip right out of the gate, and nice big comfort spot if you want to use it like this. Now it's even more secure in your hand. This is just it feels like a proper size and scale utility knife. Any folks out there who have used the classic utility knives will know what I mean. There's a certain sensation about it. This feels very comfortable. But because this is a thinner profile, I actually prefer this to the kind of a wider body experience you get with your average utility knife. Even the Husky I mentioned had a thicker body to it. Has a thicker body because I mean, it's in my shop. I use it all the time. So having that thinner in there, I like that the way I can choke up on that and I can move it quite nicely. This has a built-in uh, toolless removal of your replacement. You just pull that out, pull the blade out, put it back in, and you're good to go. So you don't need any tool for replacing it. Makes it easy to flip it around. There is no storage option on this. They do make a version of this that has a storage option. I did not buy it because it was significantly wider, by like 50% wider than this thing. And it was asymmetric. If I remember correctly, it wasn't quite. It was, yeah, it was a strange beast in my book, and I'm like, no, 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 I want something that's a little more cleaner. And even though I do not, under normal circumstances, I always get it at the bounce. Sorry, um, I do not carry a utility knife. I did decide to carry this for a week at work, and it was perfectly acceptable. It did everything I asked it to do. I will admit that aesthetically, it doesn't have the same gravitas as a folding knife. It just, even though I pulled this out, it did exactly what I needed to do. And I'm happy with that. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts that this would probably be one of the better knives for me to carry at work. If I were going to carry a folding uh, utility knife, this would be the model I'd want to use. It doesn't have the same aesthetics as a good folding knife. I just like a good folding knife. Here's an example of a good folding knife. This is not a this is not a utility knife. This is a Les George custom. This is a little more expensive than this one. This was like 14 bucks. And this is 550. Um, but this does exactly what you need to do. And I like that. I appreciate that. As far as people who are southpaw, this is again, it's a button lock, so most button locks are really designed to be configured for the thumb. However, if you are a southpaw, which means the button is going to fall here, I actually find it almost easier for me because of the fact that I, in fact, do have arthritis. My left hand doesn't bother me as much as my right hand. Not a shocker. I'm a right-handed person. It gets more wear and tear. But I actually find this very, very comfortable. I mean, seriously, seriously comfortable. Another thing that some folks who don't carry knives a lot or might be concerned with is what happens if somehow you squeeze too hard and the blade goes and closes on you and it does absolutely nothing. It even regardless how far down you're going to get, that is not going to harm you. So if you know someone who might find a knife useful purely on a utility basis, but they're nervous about carrying something, something like this is really safe. As long as you're not touching that bit in the tip, you're not going to get hurt. You can't close it on your hand. It's thin, doesn't take up a lot of pocket real estate. It's deep carry. It does exactly what it's supposed to. It's got a nice feel to it. Again, aluminum body, plastic insert, steel head. It's got a nice heft to it, but it's not over the top. Okay, it's not the heaviest knife I've ever carried. I think that might have been the Robo Dominator. That thing's a beast. But simple, straightforward, does what it's supposed to do, and I find it attractive. So yeah, if I were going to carry a folding utility knife, like this would be the model I'd carry. This is the best as far as I'm concerned, as far as ergonomics, size, functionality. A button lock, in my opinion, is the perfect mechanism for this kind of thing, and I've become very enamored of them in my folding knives that I carry uh, on a daily basis. In fact, I have a new one coming today. I can't wait. Um, but yeah, very happy with this. There is, of course, the standard pivot here. I did not have to touch it. It worked exactly the way it was supposed to work right out of the box or right out of the little folding thingy. It didn't come in a box. Um, and I just think the blade in here is just standard. I know some people prefer more expensive utility blades and they're available, but again, super easy to change. And if you needed to carry, say, a serrated one, they make serrated utility blades. You can do it. You can put hook blades in this in case you're doing a lot of work with carpet and stuff like that. So the versatility of this is going to be much greater than a standard pocket knife, which has the standard. The only blade that comes with it is the one built into it. Whereas this one, within seconds, you can swap out to something else that fits your particular needs for the job on of that day. You know what I mean? So yeah, and I got to admit, even though you can't carry an extras on here, if you've got if you're going to put a fresh blade in there on Monday, I would be hard pressed to see that your average person is going to need to get another one by the end of the week. I mean, halfway the week, you turn the thing around, you keep going. You know what I mean? So keeping a container in your toolbox or your cure bag or at home or whatever in your truck, I think you're going to be okay with just a single blade for your average work week. But that's just me. I don't know what your average work week is. Now, there's one thing to take into account, and some people probably don't ever encounter this, but utility blades are brittle. They're very hard, very sharp, but they're brittle. Now, I don't recommend trying with a utility knife. That's not a good thing to do, okay? Um, but be aware that a utility knife edge is far more likely to chip on you than a standard pocket knife edge is. because this pocket knife edges tend to be much softer as on the Rockwell scale and thicker. So you have more meat there. You've got physics working for you, to your advantage. Again, don't pry with your knives. But I have encountered cutting heavy duty things and I've hit something I didn't necessarily intend to with the utility knife and I've chipped the blade. Something to take into account. You would probably chip this blade far faster than you would chip a blade that is uh, designed for, a pocket knife. But I like it. And I got to say that I've actually become somewhat enamored of DeWalt tools recently. I got one of their angle grinders, and I've been really enjoying using it. So in the past, I have not said nice things about their knives and their utility knives, meaning their knives and their multi-tools. Ugh, multi-tools, horrible. DeWalt makes horrible multi-tools. And I didn't much like their knives. But this utility knife, yeah, this thing's awesome. So if you're looking for a folding knife and you want something that's going to do what you need, take up little space, and is solid, here you go.